shows what the pretty much average speeds were of people. So everything's posted at 30 miles an hour right now. And if you can see here, we really don't have a speeding, I'm sorry, 35. 25. But the red means it might be going a little higher than the actual posted speed. So there really isn't much of a speeding problem at all. This is the average speed that people are coming. We also are going to have y'all come up and tell us what you would prefer for any enhancements in the neighborhood using this diagram. We're going to give you 3 dots, and you're going to give us your opinion on what you would like added for any enhancements in the neighborhood. And then we will also do some stormwater. We have district-wide improvements for stormwater as well. Marwan's going to talk to you a little bit more about the details of the improvements as well. Just so you know, my name is Lisa Stone. I'm an engineer with Kimley Horn. I'm working on the public involvement. And we have Marwan, who is also, he's the project manager with Kimley Horn. We've got Johnson over here as well. We have Wantman staff here who are assisting. And we've got city staff as well, Felipe and Jamie in the back. So thank you all for coming. As far as the actual limits of the project, this is J Street from 3rd to 8th. This way is north. When we're done with our presentation, y'all can come up and take a look at some of these improvements. And again, as I tell you, it is draft. And we also have a district map here so you can better understand the boundaries for what we are doing for District 3. This is all of the districts here, and for our particular project for year 1, this is what we're doing for District 3, but this is also the map of all of the streets as well for year 1. So this is the first meeting. As I mentioned, we're going to have another meeting July 13th, and we will come back and take whatever y'all give us tonight for feedback, and we will go back and implement that. We will have the plans a little further ahead. We'll be able to present that to you as well. So, as I mentioned, after Marwan is finished speaking, each one of you are going to get 3 dots, and you're going to come up here, and we can answer any questions as you're looking at it. Pick your top 3 favorite enhancements. These are not limited. If you have any other ideas, we're willing to take those as well. And we have comment sheets here also. You can take these with you if you'd like, or you can fill them out tonight and put them in the comment box. And if you have any suggestions or any questions that we can't answer tonight, feel free to write them here, and it'll be part of our record of this meeting. There is a website also, lakeworthroads.com, that you can go to. All of the meetings are going to be posted on there. The calendar of all of the meetings that we're going to be having for all of the districts are there as well. So Marwan, if you'd like to tell us a little bit.
Thank you, Lisa. My name is Marwan Mufleh. I'm the project manager on this project. I want to start by showing you the typical section for the project. This is like a section view as if you're driving down the road. We're basically going to reconstruct the entire pavement and the sidewalk because the pavement is in very bad shape based on the test results that were conducted. What we're going to put back is very similar. We're going to have a 5-foot sidewalk. We're going to have, right now you don't have curb and gutter. It's 2-foot curb and gutter. You have a 6-inch curb and then a 1.5-foot gutter. That will help take care of the drainage so it doesn't undermine the sidewalk like you have in some areas. Right now you have just a straight sidewalk face, and you can see that it's causing some undermining of the pavement and ditches. That will take care of it. There'll be a parking lane. The 7.5-foot dimension is measured to the face of curb because you are allowed to use that gutter as part of the parking lane. Then you'll have a 10-foot through lane going southbound. There will be a designated striped 4-foot bike lane adjacent to that, and then 7.5-foot parking lane on the other side. And of course, curb and gutter sidewalk will be symmetrical to that side. So that's what the typical section looks like. By the way, this J Street happens to be one of the year 1 projects that Lisa mentioned. There have already been meetings about the year 1 projects. There were a number of streets under that. This was the only one that was kind of left out, and we're catching up on that one. To talk about the speed study that we did, Lisa mentioned that. We took some of these streets where you see the different colors are streets that we actually did a speed study on them to find out if we had any speeding issues throughout. And we did that after Easter, and the results were color-coded. So basically, anything that's green, it means it was meeting the posted speed of 25 miles an hour or less. And the numbers that you see on here is the 85th percentile speed. And what that is really the speed that most vehicles are driving at. And that speed is used by engineers to determine what the posted speed is supposed to be on the roadway. And it's used for design purposes. So when you look at it, anything green was at 25 miles an hour or less. Anything yellow was over 25 miles an hour, but still under 30 miles an hour. So it was within, close to the speed limit. Anything red, and it's only really these two streets, which is 7th Avenue North and 13th Avenue North. Those segments were slightly over 30 miles an hour. This one happens to be 30.1 and this one 32.7. So there's nothing there that, tells us people are going 45 miles an hour or anything like that. So that's what the data showed us. And J Street happens to be right here, which is 25.9 at this location. So pretty close to the speed limit. As Lisa said, what we're showing you here is the layout of the proposed roadway. It's going to be very similar. It's basically taking that typical section and putting it on a plan view like you're looking from an airplane, and you will see the striping that will take place on each side for the parking and the striping for the bike lanes. And then the last board I want to talk about is the proposed enhancements. These are the options that we're looking at, that Lisa talked about. When you look at the streetscape, this side is the streetscape. We're showing trees. So you can, if that's one of the things you're looking for. Of course, sidewalks, we're doing continuous sidewalks on both sides is the intent. So that's one option. Signage, and then crosswalks, enhanced crosswalks so that they're more visible. At night, this shows in roadway lighting. It's actually recessed in the pavement that you can see here if you come closer and take a look at it. That's kind of part of the streetscape items. For the traffic calming, is this side down here. We're showing you what we call bump outs, or some people call them bulb outs, which is as you get closer to the intersection, you get rid of the parking, and you can see in the plan view here at this intersection. So you have parking here that ends, and the curb moves closer, and you narrow the street because you're covering basically the end of the parking. That tends to get people to pay attention, kind of slow down a little bit because their vision, the road is narrowing a little bit. Now some of these, we're now showing them kind of wide as sidewalk, but they could have trees in them as part of the landscape. We're showing you another location here at 5th Avenue. So this is 5th and this is 3rd, where we're doing some of these bump outs. In some other areas, we have some existing drainage right at the corner, so we kind of try to stay away from doing bump outs there, because if you do it, it's going to be costly to take care of the drainage and change the drainage patterns. So that's the bump out. The intersections, this shows like raised intersections where you have a bump as you come up, or it could be speed humps that will also help slow people down. Usually speed humps are looked at when you have a real speeding issue, but the study didn't show us that we had that. And then the striped bike lanes to kind of pay attention to the bikers. In some places where the lanes are narrow, instead of using a dedicated bike lane, they use the Shero symbol, which basically tells the motorist that the lane should be shared with bicyclists, and you can only use that on low speed, under 30 miles an hour. So these are some of the options that we're showing you here that we talked about. So you'll get 3 dots. You can come up and tell us, which of these are important to you. If you have any questions, we can take your questions now.
In reference to the sidewalks, you used the word intent. My question is that you have a number of properties that have no existing sidewalk. Will there be a sidewalk put on those properties so that it complies to ADA in our new layout?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the plan. Right now, we submitted those plans showing continuous sidewalk on both sides.
Okay.
Yep.
Also, some of those items up there are obviously much more costly than others and more applicable than others. Would the budget actually allow for, the bump out along with trees, or is it unreasonable to incorporate that because of the overall expense of the total project and just get the bump out?
You're right on target, because that's something we're talking with the city about, that we would love to incorporate as many things as we can within the budget that's available. That's why we're looking at some options. So, native palm trees are more reasonable to be able to install because it's not very costly and you don't need a lot of irrigation. You don't need an irrigation system to kind of get it going. It can survive without that. So it is possible, definitely, to consider some palm trees within those bump outs that we're showing.
That's really,
I got a question about the
All right, we'll
bump
come back to you.
out. Now, the bump out, the one right there on J Street, right here, right? Now, this is part of the sidewalk, right?
Yes.
So, yeah?
Yeah, and we said that, right now we're showing it as part of the sidewalk. It could potentially have the sidewalk continue and then have a tree.
Right, because they just, 3 days ago, took that out. It was just a curb. It wasn't any handicap accessible at all.
And they
They swapped it down.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, why would they do that now after so many years before you even start the project when you're showing the bump out there?
And that on the other corner, that's
Yeah, both corners on Third and J.
right. But they did it on the south side, didn't they?
They did it on north and south.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie from the city will respond to that.
Yeah, Jamie Brown, Public Services Director. Years ago when that Publix went in, that's something that should have been addressed then, both on Second and Third North. For some reason or another, it wasn't done back then, like a lot of other things weren't done. And we have some handicapped residents on Third
Yeah.
that go to that Publix.
Well, you're right.
And they have issues where they can't they have to get off the sidewalk in order to get to Publix.
Right.
So with no ADA ramps or anything there, it's a liability.
No, of
It's
course.
been there for a long time, and
Right.
before that even got done, we had to remove the electric pole out of the middle of what was going to be the ADA ramp, and have that relocated to the back of the sidewalk. So, had to be done, and should have been done a long time ago. But that's just,
I was just curious. When I see that
Yeah.
bump and saw they just did it 2 days ago.
And
Yeah,
this is-
And now what are we gonna redo it again?
And as far as the bump outs, this is like Lisa said, we're kind of in the draft mode right now.
Right.
We're looking at the areas, and when we looked and saw that we had a lot of drainage at other intersections, we try to stay away from those because it would be more costly to provide the bump outs at those locations.
My other question about this sidewalk thing, because especially in between that's where I live, is right there in between 3rd and 4th and J, right? And it's been, I don't know why, I've been there for 2 years, but the last year is very congested with cars parking there. And I noticed there's a couple of properties there that have multi-units in it that actually have the driveway, they don't have the driveway there anymore. They used to have a driveway, it's still, the sidewalk set up as a driveway, but they fenced it off. Is that going to still be driveway access, or is it just going to be curb?
We're gonna have to discuss that with the city as far as whether we want to maintain old driveways that no longer exist
Right.
because they've locked it out.
case by case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that gonna be like an individual, like, hey, now I want a sidewalk, so can you put it in now? I mean, the
Drive.
drive, yeah. I mean,
Case by case. We
Okay.
work with our community sustainability department to determine if the driveway is feasible per code, those sort of things. We look at all the factors and then meet with the individual homeowner, the property owner, and make that determination. So yeah, there's some flexibility to the design.
So if you have existing sidewalks, will they remain, or are you gonna remove those and put new ones in?
We're gonna put new ones because the road is pretty flat in that area. And in order to make sure that the new road does not create ponding and is flat, we have to put some grade on it. And in order to do that, you can't maintain the existing sidewalk. Would love to maintain some sections of it. We were actually trying to do that, went out with the city, looked at some sidewalks, said it'd be great to, be able to maintain some of these because they look like they're in good condition. But the grading is kind of driving a lot of that.
And like they put in a new driveway, so we had to pay for it.
In relationship
Excuse me.
to... That's okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
I got in late. My question to you is, I live evidently where work is not being done, which is fine with me. I live in a neighborhood where in the month of April, towards the end of April, we had traffic surveys done with the rubber hoses where they're collecting traffic
Yes.
information and also speed information.
Right.
And you said that throughout your traffic surveys, speeding is not a problem at all? Because that's what I'm hoping you said.
Yeah, we said that those are the results that we received
Okay,
from that
great.
speed study. Yes.
Now,
Average.
Average.
Well, it's not.
Most people
What most people are driving, which is 85th percentile, which is what's used by engineers, for the design and for posting speeds for roadways.
okay. Now, are you aware that these surveys were on Palmway, O Street, 7th Avenue North? Was that part of your traffic survey?
Yeah, 7th Avenue North shows, right here, shows the red, shows that it was 30.1
Miles per hour?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with that information, that's considered speeding, correct? Or is that a situation where you'll do some traffic calming on that street?
Right now, that street is not one that we're doing any work on,
Great.
so.
The word is, though, if there's extra money, there might be some changes done there?
I'm not sure, that's a question for the city.
My interest is,
Where'd you hear this word?
what? I'm sorry?
You said there might be some extra.
There was a presentation last week, and I might have heard that.
Okay. Yeah, we have Palm Beach County sales tax money.
Okay.
We have not brought anything to the commission yet, though, as far as what they would like to see that go. I know a portion of that will be going toward infrastructure. And there's some other, there's a long list of things that people are wanting to put it towards, but there will be a portion of that money that goes toward infrastructure.
Okay. I'm very interested in, just as you all are very interested in what happens on J Street, I'm very interested in J Street, but also in front of my house. I'd like to be kept up to speed with any decisions that are made to calm that traffic. Most of the people I've talked to are not interested in a speed bump anywhere on 7th Avenue. A lot of people think that if the traffic needs to be calmed, that we should put up some stop signs rather than speed bumps.
7th Avenue North is a very well-traveled roadway,
Yes, it
especially
is.
it leads right to the golf course. That's not the kind of road you would put a speed hump on.
I'm
You would
glad to
look
hear
at
that.
more of like a boulevard or something like that, but that's not a road.
That's
to
great.
put a speed hump on.
I couldn't be happier.
But I'll give you my card and keep you up.
Thank you,
to
Jamie.
speed on everything.
That's
But,
really important to me.
When we bring that to the commission, though, they'll have to decide how much they want to allocate toward infrastructure, and then the bond program is basically going to get us to paving condition index of 60.
I'm perfectly happy with
Yeah.
7th Avenue North as is. So, but I have to say that at least 6 times a week, 18-wheelers go down to the restaurant and a speed bump with 18-wheelers and loose cargo is just going to cause a noise
Oh, yeah.
pollution that most of the residents don't want once they're aware of what a speed hump would do.
Yeah, that's just not the type of roadway we put
Thank you.
on here in the city.
I feel great.
So,
Appreciate your
Absolutely.
And just to clarify, I did the presentation that the gentleman was referring to.
Oh, okay.
And what I suggested was that if we do our jobs well, hopefully we're going to bring many of these projects in at or under budget. And if we're successful in doing that over the 4-year course of the program, there hopefully will be some residual funding left over. Yes, there will be a lot of competing interests for that and the penny sales tax. But, there might be some residual funding left over, for those types of projects.
Yeah. That's the hope.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, at the intersection of J and 6th, there is no storm drainage system. It would be unreasonable to request such a thing because I'm sure it would be exorbitantly expensive. So my question is that because the water pools just tremendously at that intersection, especially on the southeast side there, will the road that you're currently putting in there, you had mentioned that you were pitching it. So where are you pitching the water to? Is it like, am I to envision the water not pooling there and just making a right and going down 6 towards the golf course? Or what's an answer to this problem?
Sure.
Because it's not the only place that this is happening.
Sure, yeah, on J Street, we're making sure that the grade of the road is designed in such a way where we're taking the water somewhere where there's a low, create a low point. If we create a low point, which we are in like 3 areas, we're gonna put a drainage structure, an inlet, okay, that will take care of that water. And then we're gonna connect it back to an existing storm sewer system. There are drainage pipes that go across some of these streets, and we're trying to go to the closest connection so that we're not having to do a lot of drainage, but we're taking care of it. So there should be no ponding on J Street when we're done with it. The water will find its way one way or another. Either it'll keep going like it was before, which means there are inlets on some of these streets that it'll find its way to it, or if we're pitching it in a different way, then we're creating a low point in the roadway, and that's where we're gonna put the inlet to take that water.
We have plans here tonight too. I mean, I know they're engineering plans, but we've done profiles that show the grade. That's not just the flat view, so if you're curious.
Yeah, it comes up over the sidewalk just when we get a good rain at the end of our street, so.
And since there's no current infrastructure or sewer system there, it's like, well, okay, so what's the plan? Because that just can't continue the way that it is. People can't even get out of their cars, quite honestly.
When that does happen, how long does it last though?
Oh, usually about a day and a half.
Oh, really? That long?
A day, maybe.
Depends on how much.
Yeah, it depends on how much.
And it's right on J Street, right?
Right on J, basically right at that intersection of 6 on that side over there. And you can see where the sidewalk and the street have separated from the eroding over a period of time as well. So, to your point, again.
Okay.
I'm Greg Rice, I'm president of the Mango Groves Neighborhood Association, which this particular project falls in. And we have monthly meetings. I know that we all have a lot of demands for our times and all. But these kind of things, obviously, Lisa gave me a courtesy call the other day, let me know about this. We sent out a notice of this meeting tonight through our email list. I don't know if we have everybody's email address in this room, but that's another way to keep up with what's going on. I know that you might not check the city's website. It is on the city's website, but a lot of times we forget about doing that or whatever. So, you need to be up to date and informed about what's going on before Lisa gives out her little stickers or whatever. One thing that we do need to think about, it would be great to have trees and lights and all that stuff, but all that stuff does cost money. And especially even native or indigenous trees take some kind of maintenance and repair, mulching and all the other things.
Yeah, I'm not really for those trees, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a place, I wish we had canopy over, like we're up in Savannah, Georgia or whatever, but, that's unrealistic for, especially some of the smaller lots, 25-foot lots and what have you, if that happened to be right out there in front of your house, that'd be all you see is one big sable pond or whatever. Think about that. I think about that every morning when I'm leaving the Lucerne and I'm driving down Lucerne or Lake Avenue, and I see the city workers out there with a water truck, hand watering each tree and all because they need it. Even though we get 70 inches of rain a year, we get it in 3 or 4 months usually. And there's other times of the year, like right now, during the dry season, that we don't get as much unless we get it all in one day. I'm not complaining about that either because that stirs the bugs up no matter whether it's raining or it's not. That just still stimulates activity. But that's something that we need to think about when we're putting together our wish list of what we want for Christmas.
Yeah, the thing with the trees, I think, the only issue, not even so much the upkeep, is we have so many fender benders with people going down, what is it, 5th and 6th when they're coming down J, because people just go through, they don't do a full stop no matter what. They do that break and half the people aren't looking in the right direction. And I think a tree, might obstruct the view.
We have to look at site distances.
Right, because that's a crazy thing that happens all over Lake
What they did in Delray would
Well,
all
the wish list needs to be based on priorities and necessities,
Yes.
not cosmetics. You gotta have street signs, the bump outs help hinder traffic, where you want the bike paths, there's some things that just you have to have, so. In-street lighting is wonderful if you're in a big city, you have the tax money, but that's not the case here.
And the upkeep on that, it's like, let's just do whatever works to make it look nice.
All right, y'all ready to do your list?
Come on up and
One more question, just when you're doing, how many blocks are you gonna block off under construction? How long will it take?
the proposed, for right now, the proposed method of construction, and as we get into it, we'll confirm that, is an expedited method where they're gonna break up the pavement and be able to actually let you drive on it almost the next day for that section until they come back and they do the finishing course of the asphalt and pave the last face of it, or the last lift of it. So it is expected to be expedited if we are able to go with that construction method. I say if because that's our intent, but we're not there yet to just confirm and make sure that, we're doing it that way. So that would not take too long. It would be rather quick and, you're not gonna have a torn up street that's just gonna sit there with a lot of dirt. That's why the city is really liking this idea of expediting the construction with this method.
So it's not gonna be like section by section, it's gonna try to do the whole,
Well, it's only 5 blocks?
It's 5 blocks, yeah. I mean,
That's not 5 blocks. Yeah.
the curb, the curb and the
It's like taking
sidewalk.
medicine, take it all at once.
oh no, we'll park
be done.
behind the place, so it's not a big deal for us, but some people it would be.
Well, there is a lot of multifamily on J Street.
Yeah.
So anything you can do to not eliminate any parking spots, it's gonna be a real godsend to those folks that live there.
There will be times when the curb and gutter and sidewalk is being reconstructed and poured, but, the asphalt will still be there for the most part, so there'll still be some room to park.
So a 5-block project like that, give or take, how long does it take from start to completion? Just ballpark. This ain't your first rodeo,
I mean,
does it take a month?
It's not, the
6
city,
weeks?
I'm sure is
4 months.
a lot of these.
4 months,
About 4 months for 5 blocks like that? Okay.
roughly.
Roughly, that's good.
And what are you looking for as a start date even?
I think we're going to bid on this in August?
August.
So construction October?
That's good.
So it'll start during season then?
Perfect timing.
Yeah, but that's,
I'm just kidding, it's always the way, it just always is the way.
Of course it
I'm just kidding.
that's mostly local traffic though.
You're right, I know. Okay.
Well, if you want to come up and Lisa will
Get the
enter the dots and tell us.
The dots for our guys?
Can we use all 3 of our dots on one day?
Yes.
I have special stickers for you, so.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
never
we don't
said
have
that.
good ones.
Now, I don't own property on J Street, obviously I own property in other areas. Is this
Still vote.
for
Yeah.
people? Okay, I just,
Yeah, you know the area of your
Like
president.
Lisa, our neighbor, she's not here, you can speak.
Definitely. Thank you.
Here's your three. I won't let you what you do.
that's right, don't let him influence you.
It's where I am too.
You just walked in.
I'm sorry about the filmmaker.
That's okay. You want me to bring you up to speed?
Yes, please.
So, do you live on J Street?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, come up here, let me show you. Okay, so you are,
How long do you live in Bobby?
this way's north.
Where goes school?
So, you're 7th Avenue, here's 8th, so where are you?
This is,
This way's north, so direction of travel is that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Paradise, right? Where else?
Does that look like travel? Okay.
That's all right.
So basically, you know about the hospitals.
Oh, yeah.
40 So this is, well, one is for
Oh, yeah.
pretty much all the streets were done, so one of them is finishing it up. This is a typical section.
They're going through, yeah, they're going this way. See, actually,
Yeah, Wilma actually got.
Travel, you'll have two on-street parking lanes. It's broken down on both sides and one will be
it's not the road.
and we're also getting sidewalks on this.
So.
That's right, yeah.
And besides, I mean, correct.
It does look,
Yeah. So again, this is, we just turned in 60% plans, and this is a draft, so everything's, wineries and something. These are driveways, and again, one of the things you missed in the one is the project manager. And then I'm in charge of the I'm an engineer too. Each driveway is going to be having to be on a case by case basis. Got a set of plans next time we have this meeting, you got the agenda. So our next meeting is July 13th, which is going to take the input that we get today, and we will have these further on, and take whatever we learn tonight.
It's just one of those areas where also I own.
I'm not with the city, but I'll take credit. Yeah, we've got city folks in
You're right, man.
Years is what we go to. Some street.
I would suggest, again,
Those are 20-year
yes,
It's part of
what to do, how to do it. You may want to. But it will be district-wide as well as
Traditional streets is one of the things survey says predicated condition for those conditions. Let's talk about that. You're looking at just looking at things when you look at
He was in Stewart's.
So what I'm
He's wondering if
And then, now that I hear you say you were from Miami.
Really? What's not?
Yeah, I was actually born in Jackson and lived in Dayland down there in the south section. So did I.
I was 86. And my parents used to dump it now it's coming in a bag. It's
Is that right? What area do they live in?
We meet now.
Is that right? I live right off of 11. That's actually
Oh, okay. My first home.
Is that right? Very cool. What's your name? Nice to meet you. Marche. Paula was the one that was also born and raised.
That's, oh no, but that's where we had.
Is that right? No kidding. It's a small world.
So that's one. Is this really the best process?
You live at your area now?
So you guys are just
We don't bring as much down as downtown school, but.
Yeah, my mom lives on L Street.
Plus those are like
16, 8 like south, but I know. Serious.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I think more of a compliment about that. There is a lot of that too.
Recycles the asphalt.
Let's talk to you.
So citywide, that's how we're doing
So what's this mean? Because this is like, there's no question of trying to move the park somewhere else.
That's good.
That's what
Like I said, we're gonna have to take a meeting.
No, I understand that, but it's not a, so where does you go?
Signage.
So if you're
I
focused on
like you
traffic,
from
His question too was about.
because we don't have.
I was on borderline.
I think signage is a
roads already narrowed down.
part of
There.
It's not doing anything.
So I suggested he write it down.
To
percentage.
That's you're saying you can't park
at the lower road, as long as I'm.
I'm saying it's all straight.
I mean, I think it's sort of the beginning.
So he's hoping by the end of the
They must do a pretty good job there.
Process applies to the lights.
What we're talking about was
What I'm saying is, I'm really interested in these little characteristics. I actually want to talk to them.
and if you look at it,
Right.
down there, especially streets.
It's all money. It's all money now. It's all money.
This area.
I love it. It's great.
And you can actually see where.
Complaining that we got it.
We were just saying they should have more character.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
I'm gonna go hands on the first time,
This street is that.
You see they're painted them up to the evidence, it's that.
Peer pressure over here, are you telling
I gotta go
people what to
look.
do?
No, we're talking.
Yeah.
Let me show you this over here, come here. So,
Like the green one on the right is what?
so this
Inside?
is.
No, and they painted them. Yeah, on Mitchell too, they were painting them.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing, that's about the
Yeah,
dangerous
but
thing.
those are,
That's that ladder 20
yeah, but those are the Netherlands and Carrie, those all have, those are more downtown,
Yeah.
ours are like concrete pavement. They're just huge bump houses, some people, like, his mom was on Conway.
So those areas we're talking about don't
Like Chris and
actually.
Dina and all of these people on that street, they all signed a petition, every one that a light will go in, because it's so ugly now.
Now, those areas red.
I don't blame them though, it doesn't fit the character, so that's what we want, to keep the character to the front of the
Study that's right behind.
But it's not even like the person's, do you want it to be?
Maybe
What's
something.
our ideal
Posted in 25.
26 miles an hour. Even though it's like posted for 25, do you really want it to be?
I know, so when I said you never heard that,
Thank you.
That's just our neighborhood.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, thank you, you should take care, we'll see you the next one.
See you. Thanks for coming.
Looks good. We'll stay in touch with the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I work with them, yes.
Nice talking to you. Take
That's our presentation, but, yeah, so let me tell you.
I'll see you again, I'm sure.
Enjoy the Jeep ride. Oh, we'd love to be here for the $4 million bond that was passed.
Yeah, that's a problem.
problem
So
with
this
that.
is our first
Jump on the
meeting.
street.
I think you have an agenda. The next one's going to be July 15th.
I don't know why.
And what we're going to do is we're going to take the input that we received from this meeting, and we just turned in 60% plans for this, and it's under city review right now. So at this point,
So
the
meaning
plans
60%, there's like some public input for 40%.
for
the last
more,
40%.
yeah. So what I've given to everybody are 3 dots, and these are yours. And these are potential enhancements that we could implement
Yeah.
along the corridor.
Right.
So pick your top 3, put your stickers on here. But as I was just explaining to a gentleman from Tennessee, just double up. We do palm trees. Sidewalks we're already showing on here, and it is part of the typical section, but we do want to know if that's important to folks.
On the wheelchair.
Signage, enhanced crosswalks, and
She
then
was
we
gonna
would
be
like
in the
some
meeting
flush
today, but
with
guess what? They did her curb, so she was happy.
And then you can see some.
Whatever we do there,
Yeah,
should
so
definitely
we've
have
got
a
some of the
curb
plans
bank.
already.
Yeah.
Again, this is in draft.
Right.
And then raised intersections, these are called sheros.
I'm very familiar.
Yeah, so look like you might buckle a little bit.
So you think this?
I see where you're
I know, I'm
was a
kidding.
founding member of the,
This is going to be the road that the city is able to.
Excellent. Do you do anything here in the city or with the county?
there is no like
Yeah, some of
actual
these
sort of.
There's a bike, what is the NPO, it's a big mouthful now, they just say just like greenways, pedestrians, it's like BGP, blah, 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 AC, advisory committee. So we presented them quite a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, then the last thing would be bicycle.
I kind of,
So,
you say that you
here's
give
my
it
thoughts.
still
Number
try and
one,
park on the roadway and stuff. like
There's
that, but then
7 palm
they're never
trees
going, right?
in the state of Florida that are native.
Yeah, when they're doing the construction,
Which is a
it
voluntary
needs to be
project.
cleared out.
So, they're,
we go with this
one
method,
of
it only
the
needs to
goals
be
we
cleared
had
out.
for
They do it like that one day, and then.
tree board was,
They
preceded my
the main
service on that,
okay.
is
You'll
shade.
have notification that it needs to be
Shade.
cleared out
Yeah.
that day too.
The tree
for the
provides
final
shade
payment.
for the city.
Right.
And,
Last with.
so, like a shade, like a tree shade window,
I mean,
tree shade
mainly
canopy is really probably
People in the daytime, they can, I
the
guess.
best thing if you're interested, like kind of like that idea of bypass, like traffic
The daytime,
calming, you know, with quality of life, you know,
They
having
need to do that when the curb and
shade
gutter
trees
sidewalks
along
constructed.
the streets would be best shot.
And you can recommend that,
Yeah.
if you want to write it in a comment, as what I told everybody here is this isn't limiting.
Right.
If you have any ideas, our challenge is, we've got so much of a budget.
So the question is,
Yeah,
is
did a lot of it.
like, what do you want? What ideally are you looking for the street? And what I
Parking is a major
see
issue.
that
That's what you're here trying to find out.
Yeah, no,
It's not what, it's not what they
no,
want.
I was-
They want to know what we want.
No, I understand. I'm asking that question in a way that I was going to provide like,
So many blocks at a time.
some suggested answers. And one is that, like, if you're interested in traffic
And try
calming,
to speed it up.
you know, there's a number of
There's gonna be a
ways,
little bit of
like lower speeds
inconvenience.
of
Well, yeah.
All
from people
that happens.
around town. On this one, you see bicycle
Work
pump
out the
outs.
end result.
The sidewalks,
What do you think?
From the
so many
reaction
cars,
of
what do you
your
think, like in the
audience.
evening when they're doing?
one could conclude from those 12 dots versus 3 for all other dots, for all other categories, that people
I would think
are
you might be better off just
looking
closing
for
it.
a high quality,
May have, well, when we're getting the.
sort of almost
we're
like
doing
complete
the curb and
streets,
gutter,
like,
we
you're
have
looking
to-
for a high
let
quality,
people- First of all,
calming
can't be there when you get
effect
started.
on the
Right?
roads.
Yeah.
And
So
then
they want to
You're gonna
feel
be continually working on,
safer,
you're gonna be ripping out the existing.
and they want to not just, this is what I'm
And while you're
concluding,
doing
is
that,
they don't want the streets to be car first
That area has
streets.
to be
Okay.
blocked off.
Now, what the design you come up with, thanks for taking the time to pull it all together, is actually what we, it's kind of similar to what we have now, with the exception of the, used to have word in bump outs. but,
That's all one of them.
Bulb outs.
Bulb outs,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whatever the city-
So, aside from that, they're pretty much identical to what's there.
That's just how I think of it.
Problem I see is that this really not creating a good quality environment for shade provision, number one. Number
That was
two,
my first thought.
the streets are really not designed as two-way, as one-way streets. They originally, in my opinion, were designed as two-way streets. And so The problem with this design is it actually bumps up the speeds.
2 months, that's fine with me. I know it's gonna be nice and beautiful.
Through, not so much from the average driver, but from those outside.
So what makes you think it's going to increase the speed? How does the design?
I don't think,
J Street's already one.
no, I'm saying, I don't think it will.
Oh, I thought you said it would increase
No, I
the
don't think it
speed.
will, I was just saying, I said this is like a status quo design in certain words. So my thought is that if you actually shrunk the amount of asphalt on the street,
I pretty much
had a little bit of a tighter
redid
street,
my house when I got
okay, and that might mean
this place,
removing the bike lane.
this place.
You know, you'd have like a more of a European
all the way down to Second, south.
road profile, you know, to accommodate one lane of traffic.
Stuff like that. So there's a lot.
Then,
Bank coming,
and you
coming over
reduce
there.
the speed limit, you know, right now it's 25 miles an hour speed limit, you reduce it down to 20 miles an hour. Because you can actually justify that reduction based on the new road design. And then you have,
You know what I
and
mean?
you can do two things. One is you
The reason why I moved here
you
is
just want to be able to have a space
work
where you
for a
put
hotel
down
chain, I work for
trees.
Ritz Carlton, and I moved
So that at some point there's some tree canopies. What we don't have on the roads is any tree canopy. It's kind of, it's like a desert.
Can I answer you about the tree canopy now?
Yes.
We had tree canopies on here before, but they're cost prohibitive with the budget that we've got because it requires irrigation.
It was nice.
So we've only got 40 million, which may sound like a lot.
Irrigation.
Walk wherever I wanted to go,
Wherever.
everything's right there.
Oh, no, you don't want to use like
Way too
native,
expensive.
South Florida native
Two,
trees,
they don't have
which
Are more
all-
expensive than palms as well, too, though. They are. This is kind of within the budget that what we've got to work with.
Okay,
But
but
if
if
you-
you're actually using less asphalt, then
But we've got to offer, we've got to offer, we can't get rid of the bike lane. I mean, you sound familiar with the complete street, so we want to try to keep that theme going and offer provisions for bicyclists. And then we've got to have the street parking as
you just
well.
pointed out yourself, if you have like a narrow profile, you just, no bikes on the you actually have, that's in effect providing for cyclists. You know, it just makes people aware that when they go down the one street, bikes share with vehicles.
If you get a chance, because it sounds like, you know, you've been on other boards and groups, they've just released a draft of the Complete Streets handbook, which again, we're trying to implement bicycle lanes as much as we can if it's possible. We're trying to get, you know, more into the multimodal sort of facility for everything out there, unless you're on an expressway. So if you have a chance, I'd suggest you look for that too. And they're offering the common. So that's what we're trying to do here as well. It's the DOT Complete Streets handbook, FDOT. Yeah, FDOT. Yeah.
And, you know, I certainly can share with you, like, you know, the information about, you know, tree canopies, the effect they have on real traffic.
Water main job downtown.
And just so you know,
So
you saw this, I know we went through this fast, but this was a speed study that was done. And a lot of times the posted speeds are determined with regards to the 85th percentile of what they travel. So a road just can't be lower because we want to lower it.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah,
I'm well aware.
yeah, so.
For 2 years.
But
Everybody out of business.
again, like when, if you do
Nonsense.
something significant, you narrow the amount of asphalt on the road,
And rumor.
then that's going to create a new condition. So like what I'm saying is that, you know, people aren't necessarily going to be going 26 miles an hour average speed. Yeah, a smaller road. I mean, you don't have to go too far, like just up to West Palm Beach.
Show them the typical.
Yeah.
The West,
See the typical?
Have you seen West Palm Beach on Olive Avenue?
Walk it, travel quite a bit. No, I don't, but I'm down there quite a bit.
Yeah, so you see like it has a tree canopy, it has a narrow range, it has a narrow road profile, and it has a solar speed, which is no bike that's per se, but it's a space kind of put into an application.
Is there any parking on it there?
Not that much area, but I mean.
We gotta have parking. We have to.
No, I'm not arguing. No,
with each one.
On J Street, you have
No, wait,
to
wait, 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 I'm not arguing
How
with
many
you.
parking
they mentioned
No, I'm not even arguing with you about that. I agree.
Some people are.
We're on the same page.
Where there's a
Parking
driveway,
is fine
they put
because you
a
don't
fence
like.
across there.
like you
So right now, there's a
don't
keeper that kind of goes to nowhere.
like, yeah,
So in that situation.
Yeah, most
Yeah, we can just go straight forward.
There's
We don't
some
go to
streets
neighborhood.
like you cross it with your.
Yeah, we're good.
And you go on the first street on the right, like 14th Avenue, you'll see that they're each house has a driveway, so they have a much narrower road. But this isn't just, I'm not suggesting it's exclusionary. No, for the parking.
Yeah, we gotta have parking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at the typical, I don't know if you had a chance to
Yeah.
see this.
I
So
see
we
that.
looked at doing this
Okay,
whole.
so-
What are you gonna say? Come on.
Jamie wanted to show it to
Tommy
you
wanted
as
to-
well.
Everything to kind of slow everything down. What I was gonna ask about was, you're saying eliminate the bike lane
Yeah.
Okay, here, like-
so
Exactly. And then
how exactly if we got rid of the bike lane, you're saying and bring the parking out to here?
I
Yes.
would have 4 feet.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so, yeah, here's, what I would say is you pull your 10-foot lane, 7-foot lane.
So that's the intent. That's the intent.
Pull this out, line it up like 9 feet, and I would create the swale of sorts. And if you wanted, I would go 8 to 5, 8 and 6. So you have a 6-foot sidewalk and like a 8-foot. I mean, you could do either one, 8 and 6 or 9 and 5. So that would create like enough space where you could actually,
You haven't created any more green area.
yeah, this year, no, I'm talking about eliminating the sidewalk, creating like a 9-foot swale where you would have like a tree canopy that could have a healthy amount of space to grow. And if the provision of sidewalks, like one of the things about the 5-foot side, now you've added a half a foot with your curb, but if you desired a wider sidewalk, so that you had better like two-way passage, people can come in both directions, I certainly think a 6-foot sidewalk here, and then the 8-foot greenway, if you will, or not greenway, it's a wrong word, it has a different connotation, but 8-foot swale, if you will. It's like an area where trees are planted along that. You save that 4 feet of asphalt from having to be paved, and you end up, just creating a lot more permeability, which is a really important aspect. So you have to look at these things holistically. There's a lot of different challenging issues when you go into like a road design.
Right.
And so if you're looking for kind of like an award-winning concept, you would want to include the provision of native, as Lisa so brilliantly pointed out, native drought, the type of trees that they're designed to like have nature's water in the summer and kind of exist in a drought-like environment.
So you're saying on one side of the street, you wouldn't have a sidewalk?
Correct. That's
What
what
if I live on that side of the street and I want a sidewalk?
That's the problem you run into, because we do have a city standard.
Well, okay, so the thing
You
is...
kind of want to keep everything
No,
consistent, so. you have-
I'm calling for a new, like, I'm suggesting this could be a new standard. I'm not saying just on this street. And in fact, it would be best if it was a new standard. But,
Because most people,
because, let me just say this, that like, in terms of the sidewalks, and I've been here for 5 years, you've been here much longer than I have. But there's not, like, it's not like New York City. Like, there's not so much massive, like, pedestrian activity. You want to create an environment that is going to, like, enhance that pedestrian activity. And the introduction of, like, shade, like, shade trees, native shade trees.
I'm a big fan of shade,
Yeah.
But,
And it's essential in terms of health.
but I think in a walkable
Sun
downtown,
exposure.
people do expect to walk on sidewalks instead of.
Correct.
Instead of walking down.
Which is why I was suggesting that, and you know what, that's why I was suggesting having the possibility of having a 6-foot sidewalk, because then you have the option of like, with a 5-foot sidewalk, you're in a little bit of a tense, constricted space. Just adding that 1 foot kind of creates the possibility of having like, you know, people walking past each other, which is a really good neighborly, you know, concept. And then there are people who would enjoy more of the nature line. You know, not everybody is going to fit into the nature line. Sidewalks are critical, but there would people that would really enjoy and benefit from having the experience of walking underneath the trees, if you will, you know, in a more natural setting, like whatever the surface, you know, natural pervious surface you created there. And
But part of the problem too, though, when you're walking on turf, it compacts the turf so that you can't get the proper oxygen down to the root system. And in time, you're gonna have to be replacing that turf, just like we've had to do. At the cultural plaza where the kids play, we just planted that new.
I understand that, but yeah, that's making a great assumption. That's assuming that like whatever pedestrian activity you have on this particular stretch of street, let's say, since we're discussing this right now, 3rd to 8th, that you build a 6-foot sidewalk and you have a shade provision path, if you will, and everybody goes over, abandons the sidewalk and goes to the path. So you're saying like, well, if everybody all of a sudden like went on there, but that's not going to happen. People are still, you know, they're going to use the sidewalks, they've been using sidewalks. So it's not like there's going to be a, you know, huge like shift from one side of the street to the other. You know,
You do have to make sense too. It's gonna have to be funny.
I was just going to point that out because what we're trying to do with a lot of these is we're trying to look at palms because there are not a lot of areas. And what we're trying not to do is add a lot of areas in the city, like swale areas and everything, where we're not going to have to mow this and actually maintain it.
Well, that's
because
assuming
when we do a lot of this,
that's making an assumption that you're putting in grass. I wouldn't even suggest doing that.
even mulch, that's very pricey, and
And it's gotta be replaced.
we replace it quarterly, and it's like $10,000 a pop each time because we have to blow it in. So
And I'm not even sure.
each one
I'm
of
not
those
even
things you
sure
do, there's
mulch is the right. You know.
Well, I'm just saying, just
Yeah.
for an example, if it's sod, if it's mulch, each one of those things has a maintenance component to it.
There is.
But we're now adding to the general fund,
Okay.
which we're trying to
Okay,
decrease.
but the thing is, you have to like weigh that against the potential economic benefit to that design, because what in effect by adding the trees into the canopy, if you're interested, you know, if you're not against having Lake Worth be a wealthier and healthier place, you know, if you support that, you might find that like people now are drawn, there's like a higher value placed on the city, because now it becomes kind of, oh, that's the city with the tree canopy on their streets, which, if you know, we're actually competing against other cities. Lake Worth is not in isolation taking. We're competing against West Palm, Boynton, Delray, whatever. It's like one corporation against another. And so how do we differentiate ourselves in order to put us at a economic competitive advantage? That's what you want to look at in looking at this opportunity holistically.
And I think you have to keep in mind also, that's the whole reason that we have these meetings, to get all the input.
Yeah.
But that's pretty standard as far as what we've been seeing in a lot of our meetings. As you can see, people want the bike lanes.
No, and I
And you
agree.
see what you see on the palm trees. So each one of these meetings, it's always sidewalks, it's bump outs or some type of traffic calming.
No.
It's bike lanes, but there's not a lot of people who are clamoring for
Palm trees.
the trees.
But you didn't. Yeah,
Shade trees or swells.
yeah, no, they're not. I understand. It's out of the box thing.
Yeah, so what I'm just saying, when you have a lot of people saying they're interested in this, it's kind of hard to say,
Well, ladies,
we're going to take this
it off.
out.
I gotta go.
Well,
Especially
it's-
See you at Black
when, and the other
Beach.
one's
I will. Good to
parking.
see you in
Everyone's really
person.
interested.
I'm interested in parking too. No.